Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Jonny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and it's a great time to buy tickets to Love and Beer Festival. Am I right, Bradley?
Mate, there's never been a better time in human history, Jonny, than right now to buy tickets to the inaugural Love and Beer Festival.
Oh, yeah. Are you using the word inaugural? Because that would imply there might be more of these festivals.
This is going to be bi-monthly. No, not bi-monthly. It's going to be a yearly gathering of great people, great beer, great times, and it's going to be great, Jonny. I'm going to use the word great a lot.
Yeah, just keep saying great.
Yeah, I think it's going to be spectacular. And you know what? It's only £18, isn't it, Jonny?
It's £18 with your first pour included.
Mate, it's a pretty good deal. You get to hang out with us two idiots. Well, I'm an idiot. You're not an idiot. But we're going to be drinking together. We're going to be consuming Monster Munch en masse.
Yeah, we're going to be pouring all Val for people and shoving Monster Munch pickled onion in their face.
We're going to change some minds, Jonny. I don't think pickled onion munch is for everyone, but we're going to change some minds that evening, I tell you.
Well, also, it's going to be the smelliest festival. It's Brett and pickled onion just wafting out of Hackney Brewery.
Dude.
It's gonna be great.
It's a dream.
I said great again. Yeah.
I'm salivating thinking about this.
Anyway, this festival is on September 16th. It's the celebration of 10 years of Craft Beer Channel. The tickets are available at a link below and all over our social. I'm looking at the list. So what was going to be 4 collab beers has turned into 10 because it's our 10th anniversary. I'm looking at the list, Bradley. We've already announced that Verdant will be brewing with us, that Beak will be brewing with us, that Siren will be brewing with us, that Omnipoyo will be brewing with us, and that Hackney will. I now can confirm, another brewery confirmed is North Brew.
Yes, mate. Absolutely amazing.
We're going to be doing a very, very silly, big, a triple fruited Gosa with North.
Oh, can't wait. That sounds silly. That does sound silly and great.
Yeah. I mean, all the beers are a little bit silly so far. We haven't announced the session stuff that's going to be happening yet because they're still up in the air, the breweries and the recipes, but these ones are now nailed down, and even the brew days are sorted on some occasions, so we're on top of this.
Oh yeah,
we're on top of this, so you need to get your tickets while you can because they're selling.
They are selling.
I'm not saying they're selling out, but they are selling. You know, we're
Jonny,
doing okay.
We're doing good numbers, mate. We're doing good numbers, and you know what, like, it's going to be the best party in town that night for sure. I'm giving a guarantee. Brad might even wear some rollerblades. I'm not going to wear rollerblades. I'm trying to think of that industrial estate. There's a slight hill, isn't there?
There is, yeah. If you left the festival for any reason, you just roll downhill. You'd actually end up in a winery.
Oh,
Renegade.
A wienery.
A wienery. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know, you're not going to want to do that because we're going to entertain you so much that you won't need to go to no goddamn wieneries. No, that's for sure.
And I'll tell you what. While we're on the topic of not going to wieneries, we've got another another event of the century, event of the night.
Wow.
We have our next live show finally to announce.
Sick.
It's going to be happening on the 24th of June.
24th of June.
And it is with the one, the only, Elusive.
The elusive.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're everywhere now. Now that Oregon Trail has become... People are calling it the GOAT of West Coast IPAs in the UK.
Wow. I
And
mean, that's huge.
I guess we'll have that argument during the live show.
Mate, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
that's going to be
so
awesome.
we've got a killer box that we've put together with Ruth and Andy at Elusive. We've got mild IPAs, a collab with a mashup of Oregon Trail and Oakham Citra. Come on,
Whoa.
Saison stouts, imperial stouts, pales, sours. It's a great box. It's 45 quid delivered, 8 beers, and that is also on sale. Link below. 24th of June. At 7:30 p.m. with Ruth and Andy. It's going to be a really great show. I'm really excited about this one because there's some styles we've never really talked about on the live shows, like Saison and like Mild, but also there's 2 West Coast leaning IPAs there, which is it's kind of my favorite thing next to Czech Pilsners.
That's great. We should. I feel like we should at this point in the live shows now be suggesting what snacks people should have with the box.
Right. Okay.
You know,
yeah.
I don't know. I need to look at what's in the box.
Yeah. Well, let's put a pin in that and discuss it next week once we've. I'll send you the final list. Yes. And we can do snacks for all. Well, for the 5 beers we're going to drink on the night, we can do snacks.
Oof. Blimey. What, 5 different snacks? I was not even contemplating that. But,
I thought that's what you meant. You just want one snack to meet a mild and IPA, 2 IPAs, a Saison, and a salted caramel stout.
Now you say it like that, it doesn't really work. But maybe 2 snacks.
2 snacks.
5 is ambitious, isn't it? But also, it would help us out in not getting totally drunk.
Maybe if we get like minstrels or something, so you get like multiple different snacks in one pack.
Well, Minstrel's the one... No, Revel. Are you thinking
Revels?
Revels?
Yeah. Minstrels are all the same, aren't they? Revels.
Minstrels are they're like giant Smarties for our American compadres. They don't have Smarties either, do they? Sorry, giant M&Ms. But they're all sort of the same colour.
Yeah, it's like the sugary shell and then the chocolate in the middle.
Yeah.
But yeah, Revels.
Galaxy chocolate. Yeah, Revels with like coffee ones and toffee ones.
Yeah.
Biscuit? Was there a biscuit one? I don't even know.
I think there was like a Malteser.
There was like a minstrel, hard shell minstrel, a soft no shell minstrel, I believe, is in there as well. So like one without the sugar coating.
Good lord.
Which is pretty good. It's pretty good.
There we go. I mean, we talked about beer and us and the channel for quite a while there, and I knew it couldn't last.
We had a good run, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's been.
You derailed it with the chat.
Do you know? I've even got a topic. I've got a topic about beer to talk about later, like a genuine beer topic. I don't know how it's going to go down with the listeners or indeed with you, but it's going to happen. There's going to be real beer talk in a little bit.
We're going to do that before we talk about this week's video, right? So what else?
Maybe we can do it now. I should have used that as a segue, but I used it as a teaser.
We were going to talk about. You didn't tell me about the Morris thing.
I didn't tell you about the Morris thing. Should I tell you about the Morris thing? Should we reenact that as if it's fresh?
Rewind. Yeah.
So we go. One of the beers, Bradley.
Yes.
It's a salted caramel stout.
Yes.
And it's called, and you're gonna like this, Morris Man.
Oh my god, Johnny! It's like you've never actually told me that 10 minutes ago. But I do enjoy watching Morris dancers.
You have a fetish for Morris Man.
I don't know, but no, I wouldn't say that, Johnny. I'm not going on record as saying that. That sounds.
I went on record with it.
Might ruin my political aspirations if I say that.
I don't think it would be a scandal. Well, actually, I don't know. It depends what you do about your fetish, I guess, whether it would become a scandal. Yeah.
Well, I think it looks quite entertaining, quite fun. I enjoy how strange it is. I like really weird, sort of folky things, and the sort of people that.
Have you ever Morris danced?
No, but I've been invited by a Hastings troupe of Morris dancers to go and train with them.
So what?
On
train?
Wednesday.
That's a strong word for what they do. I
Train.
think it's prance around a bit and then go for a beer.
It's Johnny. It's, if anything, it's like a pub sport. Surely it's drinking. It's dancing. It's is it aerobic exercise? What would you call it? It's like cardio workout. These
Is it though?
yeah, man, come on.
I don't think
It's
they
pretty
even
athletic.
break a sweat.
It's pretty athletic. Some of them do. Some of them do.
It's slightly fancy walking with ribbons and bells.
I don't know about that. You haven't. You're really doing a disservice to the Morris here.
I grew up in Morris man country. I was dragged. I was about to say endlessly. Very untrue. Dragged moderately frequently to events such as like parades in my small village that would involve middle-aged men dressed in white with ribbons and bells, kind of skipping a little bit, and everyone just being very confused. That's my memory of it. And then you'd see them in the pub later. Did I tell you? I don't know whether I talked about this on the podcast last week, but I was driving to Luton a couple of weeks ago, and there's like a dual carriageway that takes me from my house to Luton, and I came around the corner, and there'd been a car crash, sadly, and it was a car had collided with a minibus, right? And next to the minibus was stood 20 Morris men.
Oh wow!
So it was a minibus of Morris men had collided, and they were just stood on the side of the road. It was a real like it really clashed, like speeding cars.
Yeah. It sounds
tarmac Morris man,
like a Martin Parr photograph of like a Little Britain kind of scene.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, I'm sorry for everyone who crashed, but
I don't think anybody was hurt. There was no ambulance coming. Yeah. Everybody was being quite genial, so I don't think it was a bad crash. It was a fender bender.
Yeah. Did they when they were outside? Were they safely pulled over onto the tape-off?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, to be honest, I think they looked minutes from starting dancing, because I assume if they stand still, they can't stand still.
If they had a flat battery and they couldn't put their warning lights on, they've got hankies. Every man or woman and child is equipped with 2 hankies, Johnny.
So they'd stand either side of the car and wave.
Flashing them. They could have been waving them like a sort of air traffic control kind of vibes. The people on the deck of the giant warships that Top Gun vibes, where there's the dude standing there with the like little beacon things. They could have done that on the side of the motorway. Do you know what I'd be into? Is like
I don't want to know.
Like fire poi. Like sort of people that go to like full moon parties in
and
Bali
sling
and stuff.
fire around.
And like all of that beach fire stuff. Imagine Morris men with like fire poi hankies.
I think their outfits are very flammable. I'm not sure that's a good mashup.
I don't know about that. They're made of cotton. Is cotton that flammable? But they just wear like a white sort of shirt and.
I mean, I was thinking about like the hankies waving around, about the ribbons.
Oh yeah, I guess the ribbons are fire and a trip hazard. To be honest, I mean, what are they thinking about with the ribbons? I mean, the ribbons are a bit mental. That's my only.
I really like to think that like the minibus, like the reason there was a fender bender is because like they wouldn't stop Morris menning, like they were just ribbons, bells, hankies everywhere, and the driver was
couldn't.
Couldn't focus.
Johnny, if you had a group of Morris men, and you put them in a sealed room with about 50 cats and kittens, and then made them dance, who would win that fight? Because the kittens would be attracted to the flailing ribbons
and the bells,
and the bells. It'd be a massacre. Surely it'd be a massacre. And the more they tried to escape and flail away from the kittens, the more noise and agitations to the ribbons, so that it'd just be an onslaught of kittens, right? Just climbing up. Have you ever seen a kitten climb up a curtain?
Yeah.
They'd be climbing up the Morris men.
But would they be attacking the Morris men? Wouldn't it be like a kitten loving?
I don't know. I feel like it'd be like. Have you seen World War Z with Brad Pitt, where they're
climbing up the walls?
Zombie? Yeah, they're just like climbing. They're like making towers of kittens up, giant beams of Morris, thick set Morris men's legs.
Yeah.
That they're just getting as they're climbing up,
trying to get to like Kenneth and Derek's faces. Yeah.
They're just ripping them to shreds as they go.
Right.
I mean, I can tell you one thing: those outfits wouldn't be white for very long. They'd be blood soaked, wouldn't they? They'd all be sort of like little pinpricks of blood like seeping through them. Am I painting a very visceral image for you, Johnny?
It's very visceral, but it's also tinged with the absurd. I can't quite picture it because.
All right. Then
sometimes I struggle to see what you're seeing, Bradley. I'm not going to lie.
They're wearing in the top of their hats. They've got little recesses that have got fish, like tinned cat food. So they're trying to get to the cat food. As well.
Why are you doing this? Why have you put them in a room together, made them dance, and then added cat food?
I don't know. I like cats and I like Morris dancing.
Yeah. So why are you making them kill each other?
Well, they wouldn't kill each other, but it would be.
You just said who would win the fight. Oh, right. Okay. So it's not a fight to the death.
It'd be an interesting spectacle. No, I think it would be if I was like an emperor of something. Maybe I'd come up with weird shit like that.
Is this a pitch? You want this at the festival?
Maybe at the festival, or if we were to sort of form a breakaway state at some point of beer geeks.
That's the next step.
Yeah, we're already started a cult, haven't we? In our Patreon, so
it's not a cult.
It's not a cult, but a breakaway. I'm just saying a breakaway state. Nothing big, Johnny. Just like Isle of Man size, sort of state. Maybe the Isle of Man.
Pretty big breakaway in the UK.
Maybe the Isle of Man. Did I already talk about this? The Isle of Man, that it's got the oldest continual parliament in the world, and they've got 3 houses in the parliament, like 3 different levels: the Lords, the Commons, and something else.
The Morris
people
men?
that elect the the Morris men. Yeah, the Morris men. And they've got a Viking sword that they put when they go in session, and that sits in the lower chamber. It's fucking cool, man. Over 1,000 years old, this parliament.
I mean, we've got what do they carry in at the start of Parliament? Like some weird orb thing.
Yeah, the orb thing. It's not as cool as a Viking sword, though.
It's not a Viking sword,
sick.
no. But
Come on, that is awesome.
It's equally silly and pointless and has nothing to do with democracy.
Oh yeah. But the Isle of Man, Johnny, their transport system, their modern transport system to get from one bit to another bit, steam trains. That's it. That's what they've got.
Have you been, or have you read a Wikipedia article that someone's been messing around with?
I watched a little snippet of Michael Portillo travelling on a train. Around the Isle of Man, and I thought it looked amazing. And I thought we need to go to the Isle of Man, Johnny. We need a steam fueled, like Fast and the Furious, but like hot and steamy tour of the Isle of Man.
Yeah, you heard it, didn't you?
Dressed as Morris men.
Nope.
Trying to steal the ancient Viking sword.
Nope.
And I think it's like the Highlander. Whoever's wielding it is going to be captain of the island.
Nope.
They've never been invaded. They've never surrendered to the British Empire, Johnny. Never. They've never been part of it. They're independent. It's amazing.
I feel like most people have gone there and gone, this place is weird. Let's aim for Scotland or Ireland or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Johnny, this is a beer podcast. This is a beer podcast.
Yeah, I've kind of given up on that, to be honest. I don't know if people have noticed. I just let Brad run now. Right, so yes, I have a beer topic to talk about. Beer news. If I had the time and the energy, I would find like a BBC kind of thing.
Nice. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'll do.
Soundboard, Johnny.
That'll do. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Big news in an area that we're, is close to our hearts, which is cask ale.
Yes.
So there's a brewery down in the southwest. Who, when I was at uni, I went to Exeter. I drank a lot of this brewery's beer, Otter.
Yeah.
They were the real ale option in the student union, and I used to drink a lot of it. They've come out, essentially they've decided, well, I think they're claiming they love cask ale, but it's not really working. So they've invented fresh ale.
Okay.
Which as far as I can tell, is keg beer served through a cask ale hand pump.
Oh, keg beer served through. Okay, so you're knocking out the carbonation as you pour it manually by hand up.
This is one of the million questions that I have,
Right?
Because they're saying that it's lower carbonated already, and that's the similarity to cask, because it's not naturally carbonated. It's not live beer. There's no active yeast in there.
Oh, okay. So it's keg. Yeah, sorry.
It's just keg beer that's carbed lower and then served through a pump that does it no good.
Eh?
Yeah.
How is this? So why are they calling it fresh ale? It's not an ale then.
Well, no, I mean it is. Well, it depends on your definition of ale, but it is.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, weirdly, it isn't an ale because they use lager yeast at Otter Brewery for all of their beers, but just to muddy the water even further.
The most confusing thing I've ever heard of. Otter Ale, yeah. Sorry, Otter Brewery.
Otter Brewery. I don't even know what the beer's. I think it's called Amber Fresh. It's called.
Wow.
But so they think that this is going to save their brewery, I guess, most importantly. But they've said this is the thing that made me really raise my eyebrows. That it was the meeting of cask ale, lager, and craft beer, as if those are three separate bloody things. They're not. There is craft lager, there is craft cask beer. These are not separate things. It's so muddied, and so I'm starting to get pissed off now. It really annoys me because we have worked quite hard and are continue to work hard behind the scenes, but without much progress, to save cask ale, which involves championing what's great about it, which is that it is at its best incredibly fresh, very full flavoured, entirely different texture, and basically the lifeblood of the British brewing industry because it's still about 20% of what's drunk. Then a brewery comes along and says, oh, we love cask ale, but it's in decline a bit, so we're going to confuse consumers by starting to serve keg beer out of cask ale pumps. I don't know about you, when I do like educational pieces, like when I do talks or brewery meetups or training for staff, you know, the easiest differentiation is keg beer often comes out of like an instant faucet. You turn it on, it goes. Cask beer is hand pumped out from the cellar. So you can tell, the consumer can tell immediately, cask pumps, keg pumps. What Otter have come along and done is gone, nah. So the most obvious way that we could differentiate it and start that conversation, start that education piece, and they've just gone, no, we're going to start serving keg out of hand pulls.
It's totally mental. Surely it's mental. And like, are they serving it at cask temperatures, or are they serving it at like a sort of keg?
They're serving it in between, mate.
What the fuck? So hang on. Okay. Okay. So does it have the issue of cask where you need to drink it quite fast? It doesn't last as long as keg, or is it because it's keg and it's under pressure of carbonate?
Yeah, exactly. It will last like a normal keg beer because it is a keg beer just through a different pipe.
So
and with lower carbonation.
Is it for posers then that they want to look like they like cask, but really they're like, mate, just give us one of those tasty crispy boys, but make it come out of that pump there so I look cool.
The owner, I don't think drinking cask has ever looked cool, but
not cool, but like authentic. Like,
yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
You know, like you would go to like an East London boozer and maybe. You know, there's builders there, Johnny, and like, you know, proper blokes, and your accent might code shift a bit. Is it code shift? Is that what it's called? Where your accent gets a little bit more Guy Ritchie film.
Right, yeah.
Is it that? So like, you know, it's the sort of people that want to fit into a pub in, you know, I don't know where, Wolverhampton or somewhere. And they're like, I don't understand any of this culture, but I'm gonna like buy something that looks like I'm drinking what the locals are drinking.
I mean, so Patrick McCraig, the managing director of Otter, is at pains to point out that this is all born out of research, and the research I'm thinking that is out of is the fact that lots of studies have shown that people even cask ale drinkers want their cask served a little bit cooler. Like, keg has done enough of a number on cask that people are like, beer should be pretty cold.
Yeah.
But also, as a cask ale brewery, they're aware that if you make cask ale very cold, you lose part of what is the joy, which is that rich malty flavour and texture. So
100%.
what they've done is they've gone, right, well, we will attract these people that want their beer colder but want to drink cask ale by serving it slightly warmer than keg, but slightly colder than cask. And to those people that, think that cask ale is a bit of a lottery, and it can be in a bad pub, it can not be very fresh and even turn sour, we'll make this product like super stable. But the thing is, you're confusing everybody that doesn't understand. Most people don't understand what cask ale is to start with. And now you've got fresh ale, which people have to explain. But equally, you're not going to get any of the joy of the cask ale because either it's served too cold, or it's got the wrong carbonation, or it's not naturally carbonated, which creates different texture, different bubbles. But then it's served out of the thing. I could walk into a pub that served amber fresh, and if I didn't know that it wasn't cask, I'd order it. I'd be like, oh, those are the hand pumps. This is this beer. I don't know it, but I'll give it a go. And then be like, well, what the hell is this? It's served at 8 degrees. It's way more carbonated than a cask ale. It's how to misread research. It's essentially what this product is.
Does it have a sparkler, Johnny?
Well, it can't do because that would knock even further carbonation out, wouldn't it? So it's just being hand pumped out, and it'll be causing turbulence and creating perhaps a decent head on the beer. I'm sure they've tested all of that, but it's not going to have the texture of a cask ale, and it's not going to have the refreshment of a keg ale, and it's going to confuse everybody. Keg drinkers are going to be confused by it. Cask ale drinkers are going to be confused by it. And additionally, Camera must be livid about this. A, because it's muscling in on cask territory, but B, they've just started a whole campaign about cask ale being the freshest beer on the bar. So they've put all their money into this fresh word, and then somebody comes along, calls it fresh, and it's not a cask ale.
That is pretty low blow sort of territory. I wonder whether that was a strategic move from Otter.
I think
so, like looking at Camera and going like,
saying, hey, they're going to be marketing our product without realizing.
That's their marketing strategy. Yeah, like if we put that word in front of it, then people are just going to think, oh, that's Camera approved. Do we? I mean, another issue is every line that takes up is one less cask.
100%, 100% that as well.
So that is it's another like bloody nail in the coffin.
I mean, it's just back to like the creation of like Nitro, John Smiths, and all that kind of nonsense. It was like, cask ale's great, but it's in decline. So let's invent something that will further eat it, further muddy the waters, further confuse everybody, and not actually offer a particularly good drink. Because I can't imagine enjoying what is essentially a slightly warm keg beer with the carbonation knocked out by it coming through the wrong pipe. Like,
no.
It baffles me.
I need to try one, Johnny. I can't imagine it's great, but it's we are beer journalists. We need to try these things.
We will give it a go, and if it's worth talking about, we will. But I want to finish by reading. There's a little quote from McCraig.
Oh yeah,
he says, the benefits are huge. The beer lasts for weeks rather than days, like a keg beer, Mr. McCraig. It has the flavour profile that's actually more akin to the slightly younger palate of someone who is about 30 years old. What on earth does that mean?
Yeah.
We don't have different palates at the age of... Well, we have slightly different palates in that our taste buds at 30 aren't quite as dulled. And it's slightly cooler. Then, he says it meets all of the things that everyone is asking for. Warm, flat keg beer. Sorry, I added that last bit myself.
You added that bit. Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, it does feel very conceived, doesn't it? Like kind of he's gone, wow, look, this thing is not working for us. How do we get the kids to like it?
Yeah.
It feels like a marketing exercise for sure.
And again, it's exactly that, and it's it's so short-sighted, but lots of businesses and lots of markets go down this route of rather than trying to educate the consumer and doing the long game, they're like, well, we'll just invent something that sounds like it's going to be what you want, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be.
No,
all we need to do,
sounds like it could be.
Yeah, all we need to do is pump loads of money into the education. I say all we need to do. We need to find the right way to do it, but the way to do it is education of the consumer and improving our cellars so that the beer is served at 10 degrees rather than, as Caskmark find constantly people serving cask ale at like 14, 16 degrees. The issue is the temperature, which leads to the freshness, which leads to the throughput. That's what needs to be fixed, and we fix the throughput through looking after our cellars and beers and through educating people about the joys of cask. We don't invent a halfway house that pleases nobody and confuses everybody and eats into cask ales. Bloody market.
No. Is this in the midst of time, Johnny? I seem to remember, because I'm just thinking, like, if you were a big brewery and you weren't traditionally into cask, could a big brewery get behind cask and come out with something? And then I was trying to think back. We don't like talking about Brewdog, but didn't Brewdog have Punk IPA on cask at one point?
Well, when Brewdog started, they had cask ales, yeah. Like, their core range was also on cask. They also, I don't even remember this, like 5-6 years ago, released, they called it live beer.
Yes,
which was actually a more sort of joined up, thought through product in that it was naturally carbonated. It was essentially cask ale in a key keg. So it was naturally carbonated in a key keg and then served out of pretty much a keg faucet with lower carbonation and served to be colder. And that fell on its ass. Like, they killed that so quickly.
They did, but that is because people didn't understand it necessarily. I remember drinking it and thinking it was good.
Yeah, I mean, as a product, it was well thought through. It was legitimately live beer, and it was interesting, but people just didn't get it, and it didn't, because they were, and I guess still are, a hop forward brewery. It didn't really make their beer sing. So no. I mean that's pretty much all Otter have done, but worse.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you, in a year's time, this will be dead. I'm gonna nail. What's the word? Actually, I think that's a James Wattism, isn't it? Nail your colours to the mast. That's not what I mean. I'm going to go all Nostradamus on us and just go, it'll be dead in a year.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, unless it tastes incredible, which I can't believe are slightly flat.
I mean, again, it's not going to. I think I don't know, it's like an American hopped sort of session pale is the actual recipe.
It's funny, isn't it? Is it like, do you think it's like a gateway thing where it's like trying to get cask people to drink less cask?
Well, this is the question, and what I think they failed to answer is, who is going to drink this? Is it cask ale drinkers that are, want their beer colder? Or is it keg beer drinkers that want to try cask but are put off by it? And neither of those people are going to be converted to drinking more cask through drinking this.
No.
Best case scenario, it's a delicious beer, it does well, and everybody loves it, but it eats into cask. Worst case scenario is everybody that tries it goes like, this is worse than cask. I'm sticking to whatever it is I'm drinking.
Yeah.
It's just a nonsense. And, I'm glad that people are still trying to innovate, still trying to think this through, but this is fundamentally
that's another
answer.
thing to consider, isn't it? It is good that people are trying new innovations, but this doesn't sound like a good one. No, because it doesn't sound like it's treating the beer very well.
Yeah, and that's why people are getting annoyed, because it could end up hurting cask ale pretty badly.
Yeah, big time.
Whether it's successful or not. If it's not, it trashes the reputation. If it is, it eats up the cask market while not being, traditional live ale. So nobody wins with Amber Fresh. Sorry, Otter.
Did you know sea otters, Johnny? They have favourite stones that they keep in their pockets under their arms, and then they play with them like they're toys. There you go. And they also hold hands as well to like stop from drifting away from their buddies. So don't know what that has to do with anything other than otter. But yeah,
I'm not holding hands with Mr. McCraig for now.
No, let's not hold hands.
Shall we talk about this week's video?
Yeah, go on. Let's talk about Doug. What a ledge.
It was great meeting Doug. Do you know, I didn't mention this in the video, but his voice is just so soothing.
He's got a he's almost like a hypnotic voice,
Yeah.
hasn't he? It's very monotonal sounds like you're saying they sound boring, but it's a calming monotonal voice he's got,
It is.
I think.
Even when he's doing impressions of like Flipper Chad and all these bros, it's still a soothing thing to listen to.
Definitely.
And
Is he a hypnotist, Johnny? Were you hypnotized by what he was saying?
Yeah, I mean, I've now got keywords that you definitely shouldn't say to me.
Yeah. I'm not going to derail the chat, but I saw the worst film I've seen this year called like Hypnotic or some shit. Ben Affleck about hypnotists that are like running the world, secret society of hypnotists.
God, that is a stone night on the weed kind of idea.
Yeah. I was like, how the hell has this been made as a cinema release? But it's Robert Rodriguez who used to make fun films, so I bored my girlfriend with it. She actually I think she was hypnotized by it and fell asleep in the cinema the other night. But let's get back to the Hypnotic Doug.
So I met him at Revolution while I was in Chicago doing book research, and had a lovely tour with him and a couple of beers, and then we sat down and made that video. It's always interesting when you meet, I think particularly meet like satirists, because they're usually very serious people.
Yeah,
you know, they present. You know, their content is very funny. It's the same like Armando Iannucci. Like, if you listen to interviews with him, he's, you know, he laughs and he's vocal and he's excitable, but he's also like knows his stuff through and through and is very serious, and it all comes from, you know, his very deep-seated political beliefs. And with Doug, it comes from a very deep-seated love of beer and of marketing. So I think the conversation was more serious than I thought it was going to be, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's sort of part of the reason I also put the videos in, because I was like, anybody watching this would think, like, couldn't believe that this guy would be putting his cap on backwards and pretending to be a beer trader.
But the thing about them, they do appear sort of flippant or stupid or whatever, but there's so much thought behind them. Like you said, there's like several ideas within each one that he's trying to convey through these conversations, and they're like pretty short conversations, but every time they hit, like, I don't think I've seen one where I'm like, it doesn't quite land, that joke or that concept. They're very well considered, so you can see he's got an incredibly agile mind, and like he said, they're like his little Saturday Night Live skits, which I think is like a really good way of looking at it. Like, they are like, you could imagine like a writer's room writing them. They're really good. They're great.
Yeah, and I think I found him through the satire, but he does lots of educational pieces as well. And you can see sometimes, like, he'll do an educational piece, or somebody will ask him a question and he'll answer it, and then like a week later he'll do satire around it. So it all comes from that place of wanting to sort of educate people.
Yeah.
And you know, it was really interesting talking to him and off camera and on camera about, you know, the struggles in the market, because, you know, Revolution, a really young brewery, you know, like 2010, I think he said, so 13 years. They've been incredibly ambitious. They are everywhere in Chicago, and they're much younger than some of the other breweries, you know. I mean, I saw more of their beer than, say, like Goose Island.
Oh, wow.
But then, of course, you know, I was drinking in certain kinds of establishments where Goose Island might not be welcome. But it was incredible to see how much they've done and how big they've grown. And I completely forgot to get an external of the brewery, but it's a big brewery with outside tanks and all kinds of things going on. So there's a huge amount of beer being produced in a relatively short time. And we've never really... Well, I mean, I guess we have seen some of that scale of production very quickly, like, you know, Beaver Towns and Camdens and stuff like that. But it's a pretty rare thing to see. And to be the biggest craft brewery in Illinois in about a decade is, you know, takes real ambition and determination and a lot of very good marketing and sales. So he really knows what he's doing. Yeah.
I feel like I'm not having been there, but they seem like they're a bunch of clever cookies because they've bought the building they're in, right? They've got room to expand. They haven't like sort of spread themselves too thin. They're kind of got their kind of core stuff worked out. They've got that.
Well, I mean,
sort of
they're
brand,
probably
haven't
sat
they?
there wondering whether they have or not. Like
Yeah,
they were very ambitious, and now they're sensible enough to sort of, I can't remember whether it came across in the video, but he said like being bold. They're investing in marketing and they're investing in new product development, but they're not trying to grow as ambitiously as they were or stuff like that while this all plays out and they work out where they are in the market. But yeah, buying their own building is a big step towards essentially self-sufficiency and having wiggle room when the market contracts.
yeah, 100%. He did say something about it was like when the market's whatever, and then when it's bold.
Yeah, be bold
I
when
don't
people are
think he
fearful. Be fearful when people are bold.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
which is
what
Warren Buffett, who made a bit of money in his lifetime. Yeah,
he did all right, didn't he?
And I really loved the conversation around Infinity Hero because it's a really clever bit of marketing. Infinity, using that word at that particular time was pretty smart. Especially when you're in, you have like a comic book kind of brand. But it was really interesting, like the conversation that they had. That it could have been because they'd taken the shortcut with Hazy Hero, just gone like, this is our hazy IPA compared to our West Coast, and they could have just gone with like he said, juicy or something like that. But the fact that they were willing to invest in that conversation and not put people off because lots of people don't like juicy beer, but B, also not to just pander to the people that do, and to have a more deep-seated conversation that should lead to more, I think, loyalty because you fall for that brand rather than the juicy kind of element to it. And there's hundreds of beers branded juicy, so that's the kind of marketing that should be done. When I was talking earlier about people taking shortcuts in marketing, they've done the opposite, and I think that's why they've been successful and hopefully will be, even though the market's struggling a bit currently in the US.
Yeah. I mean, he just came across as a super knowledgeable dude that had come from a totally different background than you would expect someone in marketing to have come from, with the distribution thing and the fact that he wasn't an accountant, but he worked in the sort of financial side of things. I thought that that obviously brings a totally different perspective to your marketing decisions, right? So if you're not sort of wildly throwing money about or whatever, you're kind of, everything's quite considered. Well, quite is an understatement, I think, with Doug. Everything's obviously super considered, even though it looks like it's light and kind of easy and just fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth considering with all craft breweries, particularly in the States, which is a pretty mature market at this point. Even what looks easy isn't. You look at the breweries that churn out endless different IPAs. Each of those labels will probably have had, a designer with a team behind them, with the brewery approving it, with the marketing department going yes. There's not many breweries now that operate sort of a one-man or one-woman team just making something and then going cool. So it's an aesthetic, really. Some look try hard in a good or bad way, and some look lackadaisical. The only brewery I can think that's a real exception to that is like Colonel, which was like, this is our brand and it's done, and have never sort of moved on. But that's pretty rare. So if you think your brewery's not putting effort into marketing, they definitely are, even if it's just playing with the Instagram algorithm forever.
Yeah.
There was a comment from One Man's Odyssey. It says, great video and interview. I definitely think that a lot of regional and large state level breweries are leaning hard into marketing to the point where it's informing the beer. Unfortunately, this means that the beer becomes a lot less interesting, and I think they stand the risk of alienating long-time beer geek fans. The first thing I'd point out from there, like, that's definitely happening. That has to be happening. But it's not the marketing department that's doing that. It's the sales department that are reporting and going, these beers aren't selling anymore. I'm struggling to get these beers on tap. So it's actually the salespeople that are going, we need to change up what we're brewing. We need to release a new product, or we need to stop brewing so much of this product. And marketing's job is to make sense of that and make it make sense to the consumer. Which is, we talked a bit about sort of that tension between accounts marketing and beer, but brewing, but there is definitely one between sales marketing and brewing as well, because 5 years ago, sales would have just been like more hazies, more hazies, more hazies. And now, certainly in the draft market, they're probably saying, well, I don't even know what they're saying. It's like, we need to make lots of different things, or we need to make one killer IPA and find a crazy price point for it, is probably the conversation. And somebody also replied, Kai replied, long-time beer geek fans don't move the dial, sadly, which is also true. We consider ourselves the heart of this industry, but the heart ain't buying half as much beer as all the other limbs combined. The breweries, particularly at the size of Revolution, have to cater to someone else more than they do the beer geek fans, and that's probably why the taproom had an amazing list. But when you go out into town, it's basically anti-hero that you see.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I had a funny sort of comment from Kevin Murphy. What do the Avengers, the Fellowship of the Ring, and the squad from Ocean's 11 all have in common? All are less inspiring collaborators than Jonny and Doug. Only could have been improved if Brad was sitting alongside, rocking his signature jumper. Don't know what that is.
Which one's your signature jumper?
I haven't got a signature jumper, Kevin, but
I reckon you might. Maybe you've always got a signature top of some description.
Oh yeah, I like to wear a jazzy thing to go look at me. But yeah.
I don't think we're as inspiring as I think we're more inspiring than Ocean's 11, and I'd argue the Avengers, but Fellowship of the Ring, I'm not sure I could hold a candle to. Not that that's what you do if you met Boromir, but they went through some stuff, and they were
big time, big time,
and one of them ended up as king. That ain't gonna happen,
right? To me. Don't spoil it, Johnny.
Spoilers of that film made 20 years ago.
Don't spoil it. Yeah. I don't know what Magic the Gathering is, but I saw Magic the Gathering and Lord of the Rings are teaming up to make some cards or something, like a game. So there's going to be like the two worlds crossing over and collaborating.
I don't know what that is either.
I don't know what it is either, mate. But I read the headline the other day and I was like, that's going to make some people very happy, I'm sure.
Yeah, and also some people livid, I'd imagine. There's another geek universe out there that's tearing itself apart like we are about fresh ale.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the perfect mashup of lager, craft beer, and ale, and they've got the same with Magic the Gathering.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Orcs can't be in the same realm as whatever's from Magic the Gathering. God damn it. Yeah, that's a different kind of problem, isn't it?
I expect it all will be explained in our Patreon Discord forum at some point this evening.
I'm sure it will.
So yeah, I look forward to that. Anyway, we have taken enough of your Friday, I feel. Don't forget our ticket.
One more thing.
Go on.
One more thing. Yesterday was 10 years to the day.
Oh yeah.
That we started the YouTube channel, the Craft Beer channel, was it not?
It was. Yeah, it's our 10-year anniversary yesterday. Obviously, we're celebrating with the festival in September, but yeah, I think we possibly released 3 videos in one day. It's a brewery, tour of Camden Brewery, cooking with wheat beer and clams, and I think we made a beer cocktail. We've come a long way.
We have come a long way, but I was going to say, should we do those 3 videos again? As like modern interpretations of them.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Maybe we should, remake it.
That'd be interesting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we can't tour Camden Town anymore, I don't think. Partly because of the AB InBev thing, but also it's a very different brewery. I'm not even 100% sure it is a brewery there now. It might just be a tap room. I haven't been back in a while.
Sad times.
But we could do the wheat beer clams. Obviously, minus Jim, who was with us for the first 6 months or so, but we could do it.
Yes, mate.
I'm going to have a think about that. It could be interesting. Remaking our worst videos and making them good. So don't Google those videos. Don't scroll back. People already have in the Patreon forum, and they've been very kind. but also wrong about how good those videos are. You can buy tickets to our festival, £18, get your first pour on us, and we will be there all evening chatting away and doing bottle shares. You can also get the box for our elusive live show. All those beers are going to be incredible. If you haven't had Oregon Trail yet, it is one of the best West Coast IPAs in the country. And I'm looking forward to the Morris Man as well, if only for what Brad's going to come out with.
Yeah.
So those links are below, and we will see you on Wednesday for a very, very, very special episode of the Craft Beer Channel, in which we will be in the Czech Republic in the cellars of Budvar. Love and beer. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's Craft Beer Channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/The Craft Beer Channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food, and homebrewing. Love and beer.